Hi everyone, welcome. I am excited that you are here today. If you are on a holiday, I hope you're enjoying your day off. Happy Martin Luther King Day. I am back in the studio after a really nice holiday visiting my family and spending some time in Hawaii. So, I have so much to share with you, and I am excited to show you the winter collection. So, I actually moved my broadcast studio into my paint making studio, and so we're going to try this out. Although I don't have anything on the wall yet, so it looks very plain. If you're here, please say hi and let us know that you are joining us and where you are in the world. Welcome, Sandy, and welcome, Marie. Nice to have you here. My camera is in the way a little bit, so I can't see everybody's names. Um, Let me just check to make sure everything's running smoothly. The little puppy. Okay, we're all good. Okay, I hope you all had an amazing holiday and a happy new year. So let me just get back to my screens and we're going to dive in. Let's see. Hey, Sandy, welcome. And hi from Texas. I can't see your name. So if you want to put your name in there. If you are joining us in the replay, please say hi and leave a comment. I would love to know if you are a Traci Bautista Color subscriber. Let me know if you've been playing with the new winter collection. For those of you who are new here, my name is Traci Bautista. I am a mixed media artist, an author, a designer, and a paint maker. I have a product line called Traci Bautista Color, and I'm going to be sharing with you today some of the fun things that I've designed for the winter collection. Many of these are were part of my subscription that got sent out in December. And so I have a few select things that are in the shop, but everything like the watercolors and some of the other things that we have here are there's a few things that are in the shop, but everything else is sold out. So if you are interested, I'll be sharing more about those later. If you want to sign up for my email list, that's the best way to find out what is happening in the studio. You can do that at tracibautistacolor.com, and it's right there on the homepage, and you can just put your name in, and I send out email a couple of times a month and give you updates of what's been going on in the studio. Hey, Suze, welcome. Let's see. I have lots to show you, and I have a couple of things on my studio table. Let me move this out of the way. So I'm not sure if I like this setup. We'll see how it goes, because I have to kind of maneuver different things around, but it's fine. I'm just moving my keyboard and my mouse out of the way. And let's see. Okay, so I have on here, you're seeing a heated plate, which is not hot yet. I didn't turn it on yet. And then there's a little bit of space. So I may kind of scoot this back so you can see a little bit more of my like painting area. But I'm going to show you a few things first before we dive in, and hopefully they'll fit in there. And let me just put this as a frame of reference. The color is a little bright. a little bit better. I've got studio lights on, and I've got a bunch of things that are causing the color to be a little bit different. So some of the things that came in the collection were the watercolors. And you know what? I think is my camera upside down? I think it is. Let's see. Hang tight for 1 second. I need to switch the camera. I just realized. I was wondering when I set it up, I'm like, that's not normally the side that it's on. Hang tight for a second. Let me just switch the camera because it is upside down. Okay, this is a little bit better, but I'm going to scoot this back just a bit. There we go. Okay, I think I got it now. Yeah, when I set it up, I was like, the screen is normally the opposite direction, so I think we're good now. Let's see. Hey, Sandra. She said, Traci, the new ink colors are just dreamy. Ah, thank you. I'm going to show those right now too. I'm really excited. These and what we're going to cover today are some of my new mixed media inks. These swatches are the pigment bars. I'm going to put, this is not on yet, so I'm just going to put that up there. But every season, actually 3 times a year now, I have in my subscription, I have a ink subscription, which are the new mixed media inks. And if you missed the video, don't go there yet, but I posted a video about them yesterday. I think it was yesterday. And you can see that on my YouTube channel, but I'm going to share about them today. And they are so fun to play with and to experiment with. I'll show you on a couple of different, in case you missed the video. So they're matte, and they are really fun. Hold on, this camera looks very yellow. I think we're gonna just have to deal with it. It's very warm. I think it's my lights. But you can see here, they have they're very velvety and matte, and that's how they were designed. They are intentionally designed like that because I wanted something that had a little bit of tooth, and I shared some of the swatches earlier. I'm going to paint with them in a few minutes so you can see them a little bit better, but you can use them and mix them with my watercolors. These are mixed with the watercolors and and also one of the pinks that I created for this collection. So this is in the winter collection, and this is actually available in the shop. You get 4 of these 20 milliliter inks. So they're actually larger than my my water media inks. You can't tell by this. Oh wait, this is actually a 20 milliliter. But my water media inks, which I guess I don't have any here. They're in a smaller bottle. This was a limited edition collection, so it's actually a little bit smaller than this. But these are meant to be, you can mix them together. The color of the kind of neutral base, you can mix with any watercolor to create your own range of colors. And you can also use it as a resist. And I'm just going to show you just some of the swatches really quickly. And then I'm going to swatch some stuff out too. So these are the watercolors. I don't know where the greens went. Oh, and where's my other sketchbook? I have to grab my other sketchbook. And then these are the inks. You can see how matte they are. This is the neutral base. You can't really see that because it is like a very creamish, it's like a ecru color. And there is, let's see, that's some of the pinks in the collection. And then here's some of the greens that were in the watercolor. So you can see what those look like. And I also created pigment bars, which come in a little 4-pack. And these are fun. I don't know if I'll have time. I may show a little bit of this today. Actually, I will probably do a little printmaking with these too, but I'm going to actually show the monoprint bars. So these were some of the colors for the winter collection. So the pigment bars are wax paint. You can actually draw with them, and or you can use them heated. And then if you also were in the pigment bar subscription, you received a wax medium and a set of wax printmaking monoprint bars. And so I'm going to be showing those today, not the wax medium. We'll talk about that later because there's so much fun stuff you can do with that. I have some swatches. Oh, here. I'll just show these really quick, but I'm going to save this for another live because there's so much more to cover. So I made a wax medium that has no solvent and no resin. I wanted something that did not smell, that I could use safely in my studio, and also would help dry the pigment bars a little bit because pigment bars do not dry. There's no oil in them. And so I made this wax medium that you can mix with oil paint and or with my pigment bars and any type of other oil-based product, and you get some really beautiful matte color. So this is just a swatch of mixing it with oil paints, with my pigment bars, and also with some oil paint sticks. And I think that was everything I used in there, but it makes a beautiful texture. And I don't know if you can really see it in the camera, but they are so much fun. That's on mixed media paper. This is on canvas and watercolor paper. So I'll be sharing more about the wax medium later, but it's something that came in the winter boxes, which is super fun. And then the other thing that's in the shop right now are the printmaking bars, and I'm gonna show you these today. They're a little bit different from the pigment bars. As you can see, the pigment bars are multicolored bars that are confetti, so that you can see it on the side. There are multiple colors, but then inside, if you were to cut these open, there's a bunch of different colors inside also. And so these can be used dry or heated. And then these can also be used dry or heated, but they're really made for monoprinting. Has a little bit of a different formulation and has 2 different natural waxes and the pigments in them. And you can use them for heated work, and we're going to do that in a little bit. And then lastly, the other things that came in there were some reactive crystals. So you can sprinkle these in the watercolors, and it creates some really beautiful mixes of colors. It releases a little bit of mica and dye into color into your paint. And then last but not least are my brand new confetti cakes. These are wax paint in a tin. So there is a lot of color in here. You can actually use this and put it right on the heated plate and it'll all melt together. But what I actually like doing is breaking it up, just taking a palette knife and breaking it into little pieces, and you can color with it dry, or you can just take a little bit of a section and then melt it on your heat plate and or in another little tin to mix colors, and then you'll get a variety of colors out of one tin because there's about probably 5 different colors inside of this. So this is purely wax, a couple of different waxes, and also pigment. And then it has some metallic flake in it. So these are the brand new confetti cakes, and I'm really excited about these. It's a fun way to work with wax. And again, you can use it dry or heated. And each one is slightly different. They are a mix of, these are the winter landscape colors. There's the green and a kind of a maroonish red, and then there's one that, this is a little bit more of a bluish green, you can see in there. And it's so fun because each one of these is slightly different. And then there's a beautiful warm gray, and then it has a few different little pieces in there. So each part of this, if you were to like cut it up into different parts, you'd get a bunch of different colors. So I might be able to bring that into the demo today. We'll see how much time we have. But that is the winter collection. We're going to start off with the inks today. And this was the watercolors that I showed you in the beginning. So each one of these, if you actually ordered the limited edition winter botanicals box, that's what came in there. This was the watercolor set that came inside there. So when I design limited edition boxes, they usually have watercolors. This year, I actually decided to scale back on my watercolors because I really wanted to focus on the wax products and my new inks. So I might have another limited edition collection of watercolors later this year, but right now everything that I'm focusing on are the inks and the wax paints. So this is also the holiday colors. I'm going to move these out of the way and paint a little bit. Okay, let's see. Welcome for those of you who are here. I don't know, I can't see your name, but coming in from Philadelphia. Welcome, welcome. Let's see. This is the pigment bars, swatches, and let's see if there's anything else in here. Oh, and then more of the ink, so you can get an idea of what these matte colors look like. Maybe if I take it out of that light, you can see more of the pink. So I'm going to start with the inks first. And then we'll just do a little bit of play. And that is the inks and the watercolors there. Let's grab, oh, you know what I'm going to do? Let me grab my sketchbook that I took with me. These actually are some of the wax monoprint bars, the colors of the wax monoprint bars. So you can kind of get an idea of what those look like. And some of the pigment bars. So whenever I design a new collection, I'm always testing it on different surfaces. I'm testing it on different journals just to see what they'll do on different types of papers. And I am going to, let's see, I'm going to take some of the, I had some wax bars that I brought with me to my trip, so I'm going to use those as my demo, and then I'm going to grab my sketchbook over here. Okay, I'm in the middle of rearranging my entire studio, so I have things in all kinds of different piles. I actually asked ChatGPT to analyze pictures of my studio and to give me a detailed plan of ways to organize. And it actually, the first thing it did was it told me to put everything in 4 piles, which actually has been really helpful. So I was able to clear off my studio table. And the things you can do with ChatGPT. One last thing, I have a video coming that will showcase the watercolors and some of the pigment bars, but these and some of the monoprint bars. So up here are the monoprint bars, and then down here are the pigment bars, and those are just swatches. So I think I'm going to paint a little bit in this today, and then also on some single sheets of paper that I have sitting here. So what has everybody been up to? Have you been painting or playing in the studio? Oh, this is also, let me show you what the reactive crystals look like. So I talked a little bit about the crystals, and so when you drop them onto the paper and then spray them with water, this is what happens. You get these really beautiful kind of colors that come out of the reactive crystals. So in every collection, I usually add these in as a freebie, and I've never sold these, but they usually come in the boxes. Okay. One of the things that I added were these little sauce containers. It's funny. I was in LA, and we went to a restaurant called, it's actually a fish market restaurant called Hama, and in K-Town, and it was so good. If you've not tried it, if you live down there, it was so yummy. You pick out your fish, and then they slice it sashimi style for you. But they had these little containers and for the soy sauce, for the shoyu. And so I asked the guy, can I grab a couple of those, because I thought they'd be really fun to use as paint making containers. And then I found a bunch. So I found white ones that I put inside of everybody's kit, and they work great with my inks and with my watercolors, and you can keep reusing them. So these little tins, well, they're plastic, so that's why I like to reuse them or recycle them, but they work great to mix multiple colors. And so I'm gonna take that and grab see, I moved everything and now I don't have a pipette. Hold on, let me grab a little pipette here they are. I knew I put them somewhere over here. Okay, so we don't need this yet. Underneath my heated portable griddle, I have this little thermal thing to protect my table. I have ceramic tile underneath my table and marble slab, but I just put that just to be safe. So let's put some of these out. I'm going to actually do a little mixing in one, and then since these already have color, I'll probably use those for the others. I want to show you what you can do with the neutral base. So this is great because it can be used in a bunch of different ways. So one of the things that I love about this new collection also, I found bottles that have these little stoppers on them. And sorry, hold on. I thought I turned off my phone. I did. Hold on. Okay, there we go. They have these little stoppers, so you can keep them in there if you want, if you're traveling, and then if you just want to take them out, you can do that too, like so. And I'm just going to take a little bit, and one of the things I should mention is that there's sediment, like it's natural for this to kind of settle at the bottom because these are pigment based. And all you have to do is swirl it just a little bit and everything gets distributed evenly. And then I'm going to take a little bit of this and just put it in my little tray. And then, so this is made with a homemade binder. It's similar to the ink binder that I make for my water media inks. It's all organic and it has natural pigments in them. So again, it's different than my my water media inks. These are dye based, these are pigment based. So you can get some really fun, interesting textures using these. I didn't think about that. I should have prepped these before. So we'll put a little bit of this one out, and then, and you can see it's like definitely thicker than my regular inks, but you can actually mix my other inks in here too. So I am going to, let's do a little mixing of, what color do I have over here? Oh, here, I'll use this. I was painting with for those of you who ordered the mini collection, I did some swatching with the mini collection in this book. So mine looks all messy now because I used it the other day, but I'm going to show you how it mixes with that. And let me put the pink out here too. I'm just going to pour a little bit in here. And then I'll show you also the inclusions inks. So these are mica based, and you can mix them into the inks and you can get a metallic shimmer. There's like a 24 karat gold and one that's like it's kind of like a golden, it's a golden brown color. Okay, paintbrush would be good. And my water. So let's do a little swatching on some watercolor paper. And I'll do a little bit here in this journal. Oh, hi, Odelia. I just saw your message. Welcome, welcome. So I just have some 140-pound watercolor paper. Also, that's kind of some I cut down, and then we'll do a little bit on here too. Let me move this out of the way. So I'm going to use this one. This one's got the metallic in it. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put these up here since this is not hot yet. So I would not do this if it was on. They would melt. That way I have a little bit more space. I forgot the green. Actually, you know what we'll do? We'll mix a little of the green in there too. So I'm just going to take a little of this and wet this a little bit. So I could take some of my green paints, this is watercolor, and then mix it right in here to create a green ink. So my watercolors are highly pigmented, and so you can see how strong of color you can get if you do mix it with the watercolor. That's the beauty of anything that's water soluble. The nice thing about this also is that you notice how these are dry. You can just reactivate the inks with water right inside here. So this has a little bit of the gold metallic in there, and if I take and just wet it with this watercolor ink mixture, Now I'll have, I'm just going to add a little bit more water. Now I'll have a little metallic wash that I can use. So I really recommend like playing with the different inks and watercolors if you got the sets, because you can swatch them out and mix the colors in so many different ways. Let me grab another tray so I can do some mixing inside here. Oh, I have a screen one. Let's do a little, well, hold on. Let's do a little bit of the brown here. And it just has a little bit of that green on there. Let's do, there's a little gold over here. So I'm just gonna wet my brush again and just pick up some of that color. And then I'm going to clean off my brush, and I can actually, before I clean off my brush, I can also just kind of dip my watercolor right in there. Let me bring this up so you can kind of see it a little bit closer. And while it's wet, just to make a fun design. And now I'm just making little marks with the brush because I picked up some of the green watercolor just to wipe it off, because I don't want, one of the things that I try to avoid doing is dipping this whole brush in the water container, because then I waste all that pigment. So I normally have another sketchbook or journal where I'll just clean off the brush onto the journal like so, and then I can use this as the background, so then I'm not wasting anything either. I'm gonna take, let's use one of my new monoprint. This is dry, using these dry, so I'm just going to make a little bit of marks with it so I can use it as a resist. And then let's take, this is green, so I'm gonna now clean this off because I got most of that paint off. And then grab a paper towel and wipe off the excess onto the paper towel. And then I can take a little bit of my inks and use this as a resist. So because this is wax, it'll resist the ink there. So it's a very light pink color. The other thing I can do, if I want to alter that and make it a little bit of darker pink, I could take one of the watercolors from this collection and just take a corner and change the color just a little bit. So I get this kind of mauve color. It's really pretty. So one of the things that I also like to do, we'll do a little wet on wet. We'll do that actually. Let's finish off this so this has more things. Just finish this area off. I'm going to paint a little bit of the brown just so all the swatches match, and then take a little bit of the pink and drop it in there, and you can see how that looks. Let's bring that up. So it's kind of merging all together. And then if I want to take a little bit of this and then drop it in here, it's really, I love what happens when you do drop the color in to that, because you get this beautiful, just random mix of color. I'm just dropping in a little bit more of a different pink from the watercolor collection into the inks. And then I'll take one of the pigment bars. That's not a pigment bar from this collection. Let's use one of these. So the beauty of the pigment bars is that they are duotone multicolor. And this one has like 3 different colors and then 4 if you look at the little confetti pieces that are on here. So if I was to just kind of color this across so you get an idea of the different colors. There's a little bit of a lighter mixing blender bar on one side, and then in the middle of that one it's a little bit darker. Let me pull out this so you can kind of see it, because you can't see that one that much in the camera. So let me bring these up so you can see this. But if you look closely there, you can see how this has like 2 different colors. That's because inside that bar, there's a little hint of these little confetti pieces. And when you color with that, it comes out. So depending on how you hold this, you'll get a few different types of marks. So that's with one bar right now, 1 color, 2 colors. Then if I hold it on the side, you get both colors. Then you can also take those colors and layer them on top of each other to mix it to create another blended color. And then when you heat it, which this is not hot yet, so when that's heated, we'll show you what it looks like when it's heated. Let me do the wet on wet over here, down here. So just a little bit of water on my paper. Oops. And then, what color was on here? I'm just going to clean this off in the journal page. And let's take a little of the brown, and we're just going to bring it across. This is some of the kind of copper brown mica ink in here. So I'm going to just kind of add that as a little accent in there. And then I can take some of the pink and just kind of drop it in there. And then you'll see it'll start to mix together. And let's do a little bit of, oh, I know. There's a really pretty metallic watercolor. It's like a green gold metallic in the collection. And I'm going to drop just a little of that in there, and you'll see just like a hint of the metallic when it dries. And it's this beautiful kind of, it's very vintagey looking, this set of colors. Let's see. Oh. Show. The camera is making it very warm colored. So I'll show you that when it dries. And that is a little overview on using the inks. And when you can't see right now, but they'll dry this like the beautiful matte color like I showed you earlier. And I'm just swatching all of them out on here too to see the variation. So there's still a little bit of the mica in there. So you're getting this little shimmer set of colors, which is really pretty. There's a little of that brown. And, oh yeah, let's do, and then lastly, we'll do a little of the gold. There we go. Okay, so once these dry, I'll show you. You can actually see a little bit of the matte color on that one, I think. It's still a little wet, but that is the new mineral ink collection. And then on the labels, you can see kind of how they dry on, you know, various papers. So I really encourage you to test them on different papers, because that is going to give you the best way to how you like to use them, because you can use them on like a glossy paper, which I have a little photo paper over here. One of the things I love doing is printmaking with them. So you just drizzle a little bit of the ink onto I usually use my marble slab, and then kind of just pick up the color and move around the paper. Let me see if I have a tile that I can use. And it makes some really beautiful, kind of very unexpected mixes of colors when you do that. And I just really encourage you to play. Use the pigment bars and the wax bars as a resist. You can also use the pigment bars heated, which I'm going to do next, and the monoprint bars. So let me see if we have any questions. Hold on. I need to look at this on my phone because I can't see everybody's. Does anybody have questions about the inks so far? And then I'll address the questions for the heated stuff in a minute. Okay. Oh, it won't let me. That's weird. It won't let me open it on my phone. Oh well. Let me see if I can see anything. Swatching and have a lot of swatches over the years. What do folks do? I can't see that. my camera is in the way. Sorry, everybody. Hold on. Let me see if I can see it on this one more time. That's another way I can open it. I don't know why it's not showing on my... I know. Try one more thing. Okay, I'm going to open up my email and see if it actually opens. Okay, there, we got it. Yay. Let's see, Odelia says, here is kind of a crazy question. I love swatching and have a lot of swatch sheets. Awesome. I've made over the years. What do folks do with them besides look at the colors their supplies can create? Yes. So one of the great things about swatching, one, I just love it to learn materials and to record, kind of document the process. It also teaches you like what you can do with the different materials and the different paints and inks and watercolors that you have. I have a ton of swatches also. I started putting them into, so like here is a sample that I was just showing you. I started putting them into an actual journal, which I could flip through. Sometimes I create accordion kind of style books where I'll put the swatches in and just use it as a resource. And I love just having all the different swatches to kind of use as reference. So there's all kinds of different ways you could file them, or you could put them, you could put them in sleeves and do it by collection or by type of medium, if that's helpful for you. You can also cut pieces of them apart. And what I love to do also, well, I take photos of them. I don't want to move this too much yet because it's still wet, but take photos of them. You can also alter them digitally. So when you take photos, you could bring them into Procreate and then kind of play with them more in Procreate. You could print them. So if you have an all-in-one printer, you can create stickers and labels. So if you get sticker paper, and you can get sticker paper on Amazon, at Target, online, and then you can make swatch stickers too, if that's something that you could collage with. But they're also great just as like hanging reference. That's what I plan to do back here, is to put an inspiration wall up like I had previously. And that way, if it's like seasonal paint colors that you're working with, you just have that like reference all the time. But it is definitely a great way to document your process. So while you're swatching, taking notes and writing down kind of the different ways that you're using the inks and paints, so that you have them as reference moving forward. So hopefully that gives you some really good ideas of how you can use all those swatches. You could trade them with your friends too, or even you could create digital products out of them and sell them if you wanted to. I mean, there's so many ways you can use them. Okay, that was a great question, Odelia. And Dina said the same thing. Good question. I wondered the same thing. Awesome. Oh, Marie says, I would love to see you use the crystals. Oh yeah, we can do that. I just need to grab a spray bottle. Actually, I can drop some in. Let me just find. Oh, here, we'll use this. We'll do one. Let me switch this down to my demo. We'll do one that is. There's two little watercolor papers. This is drying very nicely. So you can see some of the mixtures of the different inks. I really love what's happening here, this like brown pink, and how the resist comes through. These are definitely, you know, very simple swatches, but you can do so much with layering them when they dry. So I could come back over these with a dry brush and more of a opaque watercolor application, so less water or less and like a dry brush in the inks, and then do some more layering on top. These are almost dry. Some of them they're almost dry. So let's see, what do I have here? I have this color and this color, which I'm not sure what they are going to do. So let's do two things. I will do one with the inks. What color is on here? I would say it's kind of got the metallic in there. Let's do one with the pink on this side. So I'm going to just do a quick wash here with the pink, and then we'll put a little bit of this on here. And you don't really need a lot. I mean, a little will go a long way. I'm just going to take one of my little spoons and spoon it out. But you could also just take a few of the crystals and drop them in there. And then if you can also do it this way. So if you were to just put it out on a sheet of paper or in your journal, I would actually recommend doing it. You can do it in your journal, but then you have to let it sit and dry. So if you want to continue working in it, then you definitely want to maybe put it on a separate sheet of paper. And this is a great way to test it too. So I just have some water in a spray bottle, and I'm just going to spray it. This will activate already because it's wet, but you could like hit it with a little bit more water to move it a little bit more. And so this, I'm just going to let it sit and see what happens. You can already see the color coming out of this one down at the bottom. It doesn't, you can't, it looks very muddied here, but let's see. This is the same one here. Let me see if you can, it's not showing in the camera, but it's actually blue-green. It's this beautiful vintagey blue-green color. And on my monitor, it looks very yellow. Like it looks very, I think it's just my monitor that I'm using. Okay, let's do this one with the brown. I think there was like 3 different colors of the crystals that I created for this collection. I can't remember. I kind of just make them as I go, and I'm like, ooh, this color would match with this. I never really plan those out. I just kind of mix them in small batches. We'll do a little of brown here. Oh wait, that's brown already. I forgot. to use the green. Hold on. We'll do a little green on there. We'll do this mixture of the green watercolor. And there's a little bit, this needs water. Just gonna pull a little of the color off of here. So that has that beautiful goldish color in there too. And then we're going to take a little bit of the brown. This one I think actually ends up being a little red. I think I used one of the red dyes that I had. So we'll see what happens. So it's fun if you want a little texture. You can leave the crystals in there. Sometimes I scrape them just so that they're not stuck to the paper, but it's totally personal preference what you do with them. And yeah, see this one's, you can see some of the red that's like coming out of that one. So it just reacts with water or watercolor or ink, and then you can, this will probably turn a little kind of like a neutral color once that comes out. So it takes, you know, a little bit of time. You just have to let it dry. And then you could add like more, if you wanted more watercolor in there. I think this has the pink. I could drop a little bit of watercolor in here. And or more ink. And same with this. So you never really know like what is going to happen until you spray it, and then it just kind of very random what you get, but it's a really fun little way to alter the color. So if you wanted to create a really fun textured background, that would be a fun way to do that. See. You're welcome, Dina and Odelia. Sue says, I have used them for digital backgrounds and just use the swatches in my journal. Awesome. Yes. And Odelia says, those are great ideas. She's referring to all the different things I was talking about swatching, especially taking photos of them. Yes. There's so many ways that you can leverage your artwork, and I love using photos and or scans or just taking photocopies because you can then use them in collage, which is awesome, both digital and with analog. So, okay, I'm going to turn my heated plate on. Let me move all the stuff that's on here. Sue's asked what temp do I use. Normally I keep it around like 120 to 160. It just depends. The one thing I'm going to grab is I use a digital like thermometer where it's a laser where you just like hit the thing with the laser so you can see what the temperature is. I actually bought a new thing that I'm going to be testing, and I didn't get a chance to test it before. But there's another type of heating plate that I think is going to be awesome. But I just opened it, so I didn't want to use it. And then if it didn't work, I'd be like, I guess that didn't work. I mean, I guess it would have been fun just to see. It might be, I'll videotape it. But if you purchased any of the products, you get access to the paint and swatch workshop, which is happening I think next week. I have to look at the calendar. I have so many different workshops going on right now in the next couple of weeks, but I think that paint and swatch workshop, I think I scheduled it for next week. So we'll be doing a little bit more in-depth swatching. Also, if you purchase any of the monoprint or the confetti cupcakes and or inks, you'll also be getting access to a brand new ink and wax workshop, which I'm really excited about. If you are a subscriber or you purchase the holiday collection, the winter botanicals collection, you get access to that workshop too, which will be in February. So we are going to do a lot of fun. I'll be diving into the wax medium in that, and probably show how I use the products with other oil paint kind of things and oil paint sticks. So if you have like RNF paint sticks or like the Sennelier paint sticks, I'm going to be showing like different ways to use all of these products that I design with different media. So they're made to be used together, but you can also use other things that you have in your studio. So I'm excited to show that. So if you do purchase any of this collection, you can go to Traci Bautista Color and you can see what's available now. They do sell out very quickly. I have a handful of the inks left and some of the monoprint bars and the confetti cakes. So those will be shipping late in the month of January through early February. And I'm going to paint with the monoprint bars and pigment bars now. So let me go back to my table, and then I'm going to actually kind of shift this. I'm going to grab I forgot my little laser thermometer. Okay, is anybody painting now? I hope so. Having fun. So I have this little thing that I use. I got it on Amazon, and you can see it's got wax and paint all over it. But it'll tell you the exact temperature, because sometimes it's hard to, even if you put this little thing on, sometimes you can't really tell what the temperature is. Like this starts at 200. So I'm actually going to put it like right under 200, and then I'll just monitor it. This particular griddle, I have like 4 of these. One that I use for paint making, and then 2 that I use for paint making, and then the other 2 I use for doing this kind of work. I actually also use an aluminum plate sometimes on this, but I had brought it with me when I went to LA and I can't find it now. So I also have that new thing that I'm going to share soon. I'm really, really excited about it. I just hope it works. And if it does, it will be awesome. Okay, let me show you how these are. Oh shoot, almost forgot about these. Ooh, I almost melted all of these on there. Let's show you what these are looking like. It definitely looks better in person. Like this does not look good on the screen. My screen that I'm looking at. It looks very yellow, but it's very pretty still. This, the blue one is so pretty. It's like a vintage, like blue-green patina kind of color, if that makes any sense. Okay, let's move this. Let me move these ink trays out of the way. Actually, I think I'll probably use a little bit of them. And then let me grab, this needs to dry. So you can see how matte these are looking. I have some, maybe we'll do a little mixed media over the top of that once it dries completely. Let me see, how are we on time? What time did I start? I forgot, 12:30. So I'll probably go for another half hour or so. So if you need to go, you can always come back and watch the replay. It will be here right after. And I would love to see if you create anything while you're on my live streams. Please tag me on Instagram and share with me what you're working on. I'm going to move this. It's getting very warm. Hopefully it doesn't overheat my cameras. My cameras are right above it. Let's just turn it down just a little. So, oh yeah, it's way too hot. See, that's so crazy. It says that it's at 200, but this says 282. Wait, hold on. Maybe I'm looking at the wrong thing. Where is the, let's see. Yeah, that's off. So it should be right here. This is why these are really good. So see, it still says 271. It warmed up really fast. Let me go down a little. I don't know how it's so hot. Okay. Let's see. I like to wear gloves when I work with my pigment bars, and especially when I work with heat. I wear gloves on both hands. I will, if I'm just using the pigment bars by themselves, then I'll just use a glove on one hand. Let me just move these out of the way because it's very hot underneath there. Move it down here for a minute. Let's see how we're doing. Yeah, see, it says still it's 255. Okay, we're gonna put it, and this is on warm. I don't know, this thing's lying to me. Maybe, oh, I wonder if it's because I have that thing underneath. I don't know, I just don't want it to be too hot. It doesn't need to be this hot. Yeah, it's going down. I'm just gonna turn it almost to the off position. Okay. So, one of the things that you can do with the pigment bars and with the monoprint bars is actually just mix color onto the surface, but you can also pull prints. One of the things, and see, this is why I like the aluminum plate, which I couldn't find earlier. You can make a little bit more like distinct marks on it. Let me get a thinner piece of paper. So I have some rice paper that I got, and I forget what I'm just gonna, I forget what they're actually called. Can you see that? Yeah. So see how it's beating up a little bit. I don't want it to beat up so much, and I need to find my little aluminum thing. It's still at, it's like at 2. I don't want it to stay on there for too long. It's still at 217, so we're going to do this very quickly. I'm just looking for, let me see if I can get a little texture in there. So this is a cardboard printing plate that I made. It's just out of a, what is this called? Priority mailbox. So I can take this and stamp it like so, just for texture. That one's that's on watercolor paper, so it's very textured. So I'm gonna just do a little bit of stamping on here. So the one thing about working with the heated plate is that you never really kind of know what you're gonna get when you pull up the prints. So I'm just covering it that way. But one of the things that I really like to do also is just to take the paper and then use this on top of it like this, because then you get a really beautiful, like, saturated color, and you can see more of the line work as you work. And the colors really pop if you do a little heated work like that. This is kind of a plum. That one's really pretty. I love that color. So one of the things I could have done too is just, oh no, that'd be too thick. So these are the colors that are in the, did I use this one already? I forget. I think I did. These are the colors that are in this set that's online right now. It's a really beautiful kind of landscape color set. And then one of the things that I'll do is you can take paper, or you could take a paper towel, but I try to pull up as much of the color on paper first before I use like a paper towel, because I could use a lot of this. You just have to work quickly because you don't want to. It is hot. Like, it's not that bad to the touch, but it is a little hot. So I try to pull up as much as I can on a scrap piece of paper first. And let me check this. Okay, that's better. It's at 170. Which is weird. It's like it looks like it's like almost at the off position on this particular one. So if I use the pigment bars, it's just a little bit of a different formulation, but you can also use these on here. So I like to mix colors on here too. You can, you know, create kind of like a palette of colors so that if you wanted to paint, you could do that. If you have a little container, you can actually melt the color. So I'm just going to leave a little of that on there. And then let me grab one of my brushes. So what I like to use when I'm painting is usually like a hog hair bristle brush. Any of these work good. This is the Grand Prix line from Silverbrush, also the Monzo line from Silverbrush. Those are two that I like to use, and the other one is a dagger. This is the Silver Bristle-On. So any of these types of brushes work great. I'm going to just use the brush to actually paint with. Oh, can you see that there? Yeah, you can. So I'm just doing like really quick swatching first. Let's do this color, so pretty. So if it starts to also feel like it's getting very thick quickly, if you just put your paper on the tray, that will help kind of keep the paint a little bit warm, so then you can get some really beautiful strong layers of the colors. Let's see with this one. Let me get another sheet of paper so you can see it a little bit better. My thing is in the way. I need more paint. The tripod that's holding the camera. Okay, so I have this here, and then try and not hit the camera. So as you know, I really love the dagger paintbrush in a bunch of the different lines that Silverbrush makes, because you can get these really beautiful thick lines, and then you can get these really beautiful thin lines, especially they're awesome for if you want to do what I'm doing, botanical painting. Just kind of like this freestyle look of painting. Let me get a little pink in there. That one's a little too light. Let's see. Let's mix it. Oh, that's not pink. I didn't bring all the color. Oh, here's some. Let's see. There we go. Well, it looks more orange. I think it has a little bit of a color in there. Let me see what color that's going to be. Well, my brush was dirty. So again, I recommend like you do like this, just random swatching like this with your different brushes so that you can see like what happens when you use them. Experiment with stencils and stamps. Do I have a stencil up here? I don't think I do. But you can also experiment with other types of tools. Let me finish this one off. I was trying to get a little bit more of a pink color. I may have to use the... Yeah, it's not really coming through. Got a little glaze of it. That's not bad. And then let me use a little of the green. Another little thinner brush. We'll do. So to clean off your brush, you can just wipe it onto your heated plate like so, and then that will clean it off. And get a little leaf shape on there. So that is a quick little flower that you can do with the brush. So you'll see here I made a little glaze. That was with one of the pigment bars. These were, I think, a mix of pigment bars and the monoprint bars. And see, with the monoprint bars, you can also, see now, I think it's like not hot enough. Let's see. I think it started to cool off. Yeah, it went under 122. Let's just make it a little bit warmer. And you could also take a tool like this and just kind of scrape through. Either, this is a little, what do you call it? It's like a little, what is that? I forget what you call this type of tool, but it has almost like a, you know, it has like a soft, one side's soft and one side's hard. I think it was made to use like with graphite, but you can also use something like this where you can scrape through to create designs in your wax, and then take a print of those too. And then I like to also, like I said, clean off my tools that way, and then I can take a little print of this. It would be good if I had a little burnisher. Let's see, can you see that? There we go. If I had my brayer, which I totally forgot. So these little pieces are great to use as, you know, collage pieces. I can also just do, like I said earlier, like where right now, I think the scriddle got cold, so. Yeah, I think it just turned off there. Okay, the light just turned back on. So I am taking a little of the color, so you can draw right on here too. So if I wanted to just draw and make a little pattern on here as a resist, I could do that with both the monoprint bars. So I can just take a little of the edge here and then color right on the print plate, so you get to see that texture that's underneath there. So all of these little strips show up, and then I can use, you know, something else to either heat it, or I could use an ink to color over it, and then that would act as, you can see how it like kind of resists over there. So you let that dry. Let's see if this is going to heat up a little bit more. Okay. It keeps kind of going rogue there. Let's see if it, there we go. So when it's not too hot, because the first few things that I did, it was very hot, so it didn't make like more, it didn't have as detailed lines, but at least when it's a little less, like at, right now it's at 130, it went up to 145. So you can see if it does bead up, that means it's like really, really too hot. And then again, like I said, you can mix, you know, you can mix these colors too. Let me take a piece of the confetti cake out. So I think one of these I opened already. Can't remember which one. Is it this one? Nope. Oh yeah, I think it's this one. I started taking pieces of it out. So what you can do with it is just like take a palette knife and take out like a little piece, and you don't really need that much. Like I could draw with this by itself. It may be a little fragile because it is a small piece, but you can get some beautiful color on from that one piece. But then you can also put it right on your palette, your heated plate, to melt it into the color. The other thing that you could do is use a little tin, which I was opening up a box and I forgot to grab, but you can see there. So a little goes a long way. I mean, I just took a little tiny piece of that tin out there. I'm really excited about these because you can get some really beautiful different mixes of color depending on the pieces that you use. And you can kind of mix and match, you know, with other paint. Like this is a little purple, and I could take that and kind of at least have a little bit of color there. And again, like one of the things I would do is swatch them on different pieces of paper, on different journals, so that you know like what they do. And that's why I do a lot of this kind of pre-work, just to see what they do. Oops. Like here. And using different brushes too will, you know, yield different results. Clean this one off. And all you have to do is kind of rub it onto your surface there, and then you can get most of that color off of there. But look at that, that's so pretty. That's from the tin. Let's see, get some of the purple. And this is, you know, really thin rice paper, so you're seeing a little bit of the wax kind of like make a halo, which actually is really pretty. This would be a great collage. All of that kind of cream color will disappear if you were to collage it onto a background. I want to do this also on here. Let's see what it'll look like on more of a less textured surface. This is still watercolor paper, but it's not as textured as some of the other cold press papers. Oh no, this is actually a mixed media paper, so it's not like cold press watercolor. So I think this purple, let's see, is that purple? Where did that bar go? Oh, here it is. Let's see. Oh, no, that was the confetti cake. I forgot. But I want to show you kind of the difference of color. So one of the things that I'll do, lastly, is show, let me see if I have the paper. I have paper to do this on. One of my favorite things to do is to make all the marks on one paper. I'm just going to use this craft bag. So I'm going to do this for both the printmaking bars and for, oh yeah, this is a pigment bar. Let me see. We'll do one so you can see some of the color that's in here. This one has kind of a glaze, so it's a very much more transparent purple on that one, whereas this one I think is a little, is it the same? I can't remember. Looks a little similar. So one of the things I like to do is, first do this as just as a dry mark, so you can see what the dry mark looks like, and then bring it on here, and then you can also then kind of see what happens when it's warmed a little bit, so you can kind of see the difference. And then the last one that I'll do is just take this as a wax paint, and then you can kind of see the 3 different variations of the mark that you can make with the one bar. This looks red in the video, but it's actually purple. It's actually this beautiful purple maroon color. You can't really tell. But this is a great way to kind of document each of the bars, because it does give you such a different look to it depending on how you use the actual bar. Take that off of there. And let's do the green really quick. Where's my other brush? Let's see, the green was this, was it this green? No, I think it was this green. So we got, this is on watercolor, so you cold press. And then bring it on to your heated surface, and then make your marks this way. And sometimes when you heat it, it does make the color just look a little bit different. And then lastly, we'll take this, and I don't know if that's the same color actually. I think it might be a little bit different. And then different brushes will make it look different too. Let me just put a little of that one out. That's a monoprint bar. Yeah, it's a little slightly different than the other one. So this is the dagger striper. So that one gives you, a little bit of a different line than just like the regular flat brush. So you can see that kind of like very pretty subtle line, versus this one is a little bit thicker. This is a filbert. So you get that rounded edge. So I did mostly swatching today, not so much like drawing or painting anything except for the flower. This is actually really pretty. So when you use the colors like as very, very saturated, or if you create the glaze, you get that kind of like almost like a watercolor wash look with the paints. And Lots of different ways that you can use them. Printmaking to pull prints up, heated, and then again doing just some random mark making. I really encourage you to, you know, use your brushes, see what they do depending on like how you hold them, the type of mark you can make, like, you know, the holding it on the side like that, dragging it across will give you, especially like this one, you can get some really interesting dry brush looking marks. So if you were doing some kind of landscape, that would be really pretty for like grass, or, you know, if you just needed a little bit of texture. So play with the different brushes. This is one of my favorites to use dry, this Monza cat's tongue, because it actually will spread the paint really nicely. Like you can kind of like move it around with this one. So you can blend it really nice. So that's using it dry. You could also use this wet too, so, or heated, and it'll give you, you know, a little bit of a different mark because it has that little point at the end versus the filbert, which gives you a little bit more round. So have fun playing, you know, experiment with different tools. Any kind of silicone tool will work good on here too. Again, if you want to clean things off, the easiest way is to just use the heated surface to clean it. And then you can come through with this. What I like to do, like I said, is just to take another piece of paper to pull up all of the paint. Like, just, it'll give you just this like crazy randomness, but at least you're not wasting the paint on a paper towel and just throwing it away. Because then you can use this as a really cool kind of like monoprinted collage sheet or background, and you can cut it apart. So I like to go around and clean up my palette at the end and just pull the rest of the paint on here before I like take a paper towel to it. And then if there's some areas that are left over, I could, you know, go in and just kind of add in marks if I wanted to, but you don't have to. Like, you know, it's totally up to you what you want to do. Let's see if the pink will come out of here now. It's like a little bit. So any kind of like rice kind of paper will work to do this technique to pull it up. Okay. Let me see if y'all have any questions. You could also, lastly, let me just pull this and hold on, Indy. She wants to go outside. Sometimes you can get like the actual prints. Let me see if I have my other, oh, here it is. I don't know if there's enough paint down here. It probably isn't, but I have a foam stamp that I made years ago. If you have my, yeah, you can't really see it. If you have my first or second book, actually all three of them, I show, you know, like different ways to use the foam stamps. So Collage Unleashed, my first book, turns 20 years old this year. So I'm going to do some fun videos showcasing some of the work that I created. Because back then, you know, this was 2004, video wasn't as popular. So I didn't, you know, have video of some of those projects I created, but I still have those journals, and they've kept really well over the last 20 years, which is so awesome. And they've traveled the world with me. So this is just a craft foam stamp that I made. So I'm just picking up the excess of the paint. This is also a great way to use the excess paint that you have, and then pulling this up. This is actually, I think I actually might have designed this stamp for Printmaking Unleashed, which that book I think I wrote in 2013 or 2014, because I did do a section on wax monotypes in there. Okay, let me see what questions we have. So let me turn this off. Foam works great too because you know it doesn't like it doesn't get too hot, so I can also kind of clean this off on there. So before it gets completely cool, what I like to do, I got most of that paint off there, and then I'll just take this and clean it off like so. If you get pigment that's kind of like stuck on there, if you have soy wax, you can clean it with like a couple of soy wax pellets, but you don't need to. I mean, most of this will just come off. You just need to get a paper towel that you can keep kind of like doing this. And then if you want to clean the brush even more, like to have a little bit more surface like this, there's a little paint on there still, but sometimes I like to just do a kind of a little sweep of the tools on here too, just to make sure I get, like, see, this one still has paint on it. But you could also then clean it off on a piece of paper too. I didn't realize I had paint on there still. And then this one. So the nice thing about the wax too is that you could use different mixed media over the top. We don't have time for that today, but I'll talk about that more in the workshops I do for those of you who are subscribers or ordered any of the collections. So let me come back on camera, and there's some fun stuff. I love just the randomness of these papers. This thing is still warm. This is really fun. I did that really messy and quick, but you could get some really great prints. And again, experiment with different papers, different brushes, different mixing the different colors. So those colors are all part of the winter collection. And I'll have to share some pictures because right now it looks very warm colors. So let's see. Thanks, Dina. She said, wow, great info. Awesome. Let me read the comments on here because it's easier to see. Thank you for those of you who are still here. If you're watching this late or in the replay, definitely keep watching, and you can actually add your comments later too. Thanks, Sush. Said thank you. That's cool. Let's see. Odelia asked, Traci, are you still using the small iron tool for heating the bars? Yes. What brand do you recommend, if any? I like the plate, but I can't use one in my current studio configuration. Yes. So the quilt iron that I use, there's two irons. There is a travel iron. The one that I have is very old, and I don't know if they make it anymore. It's by Samsonite. And the thing that's great about it, it doesn't have any holes for steam. So you want to find one that has 0 holes on it. And then the other thing that I love using is the mini quilting iron by Clover. And that gets very hot. I didn't demo it today, but I think I have a video on YouTube where I share the quilting iron and pigment bars. I think. I know I've shared it in some of the Traci Bautista color paint and swatch workshops that I've done for all of the subscribers. So those are the two that I recommend. And I think the new Clover mini quilting iron actually has a bunch of different attachments. The other thing that I've used too is a heat tool. I think it's called, it's like Walnut Hollow used to make it. I don't know if they still do. I have one from theirs. It's like a creative heat tool or something like that that has a ton of different attachments to it. So that also works great to melt the bars. This other thing that I have, it's still kind of large, which I'll share if it does work. That might be an option because you can actually roll it up, which is kind of cool. But it is still kind of long. So let me show you lastly how this dried. which is fun. So that's the inks, the paint, the watercolors, the pigment bars, and a little wet on wet there. So I'll take a picture of all of these and show you, but I did show a lot of variations. Definitely make swatches using them, the pigment bars and monoprint bars, dry, heated, and as like a paint, because each one will give you some really beautiful varying results. And then for those of you who have purchased any of the winter collection, in the new ink and wax workshop, I'll be talking more about the wax medium and how you can incorporate that into your work. And it's going to be a lot of fun. So I keep trying to look over there. Thanks, Odelia. She said, I love the colors. I need my glasses. They can be vibrant or muted depending on the technique. Yes, that's totally correct. Yeah. So thanks, everybody. I have a very limited edition Valentine collection that will be released this week, and it'll ship the second week of February. And that will have inks. I think I'm going to do 2 mini collections. So each one will have 2 inks. There'll be 4 different colors of inks. And then there will be monoprint bars with it. And I think it's a great way if you want to try the inks and paints. It's a fun, the inks and paints. It's a fun way to do that. So those I will be, if you're on my email list, you'll get to have first dibs on those. I'm hoping to share them by tomorrow. So I'll be telling you more about that. But have fun playing and creating. If you have created anything during this workshop or with any of my products, please tag me and share them on Instagram. You can tag me at Traci Designs and also use the hashtag Traci Bautista Color. I have some fun content coming up for YouTube. I took last year off of social media and YouTube, and this year I am going to be doing some really fun kind of in the studio behind the scenes of me actually developing my work, and whether it's a paint collection or just kind of using what I have mixed with my handcrafted art supplies. I have so many supplies that have just been sitting for a very long time, so I want to use them up, but I really want to show you how you can use them with my handcrafted products. So thank you, everybody, for joining me, and I hope you enjoy your holiday if you are on holiday, and I will see some of you this week in the live streams this week and next week in the workshops online. Okay, take care, everybody. Bye.